Are you wondering how you're going to get your Christmas gifts this year? Then how about you join us on the next Blitz we have coming up on November 14th through the 22nd. Pay for all your Christmas gifts plus some and join the top performers in solar, including myself, Golden Door Award winners, and people who have 1,000+ career installs in solar. Click the link below. Spots are very limited, 20 spots available. They're going to fill up fast. We hope to see you there. Apply now.
If you're struggling in one industry, you're more than likely going to struggle in another. It's not necessarily the product, it's the person. So
all right, we are back with another podcast. What's up, everybody? This guest, I'm excited. He was referred to us by, really, really cool. Sean Holmander. He came on the podcast with us. I think it was like 4 or 5 months back. And then this individual was recommended to us by Sean. This guy's, he's crushing it. They're doing a lot of retail, virtual, super interesting stuff. So I'm excited to have on Mr. Jordan Alexander. Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Thank you. Appreciate you having me.
Yeah, and it'll be fun. This guy, he's from England, across the pond there, and he's got a cool accent. So if anything, if you don't show up for the podcast, just show up to hear this guy's accent. I think not a lot of people have heard this accent on the podcast. So yeah, bring out your best accent for us, man. That'll be good.
Yeah, I'll try.
Do you feel like it's changed a lot? Like since you said you've been here 14 years now, so do you feel like you had a way thicker accent in the beginning?
For sure, yeah. I sounded like Harry Potter when I was a kid. Now it's more Americanized. Believe it or not, most people think I'm Australian or South African now. I don't even get England that much.
Yeah, I probably would have said that too, actually. Well, cool, man. So yeah, I think it'll definitely. Do you feel like? Because I always think people with accents, I feel like it almost gives them an edge in like appointments and talking about solar to people, because they almost like have to listen more. And I don't know what it is. It just kind of like captures the attention, especially people knocking on doors. Like we got our door knocking teams, and some of our best door knockers, they have like pretty thick accents. And you would think, oh, these guys, they're not going to do as well, but they actually crush it. So what do you feel like it's the same thing? Do you feel like it like kind of forces people to pay attention to you a little bit more in the beginning?
It can, definitely, yeah. Back when I was door knocking a lot, you would definitely get not even the objection, but where are you from? Or why do you sound like that? But, it can also hurt sometimes if you get a real, pro-American person. They're like, we don't want to listen to this English guy. But it definitely helps. It's a good icebreaker.
Yeah, because I don't know, a lot of people think I have an accent too. I get that. Are you from like Minnesota all the time? Which I don't know how I got like a Minnesota accent, but sometimes I feel like it helps me out there. So
definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, man. So I'm excited to dive in and just kind of talk about the things you guys are doing. As we talked about before we started recording, things are shifting a lot in solar. A lot of changes have happened. And I know you guys are doing some retail, some things a little bit different. But how long have you been working with Sean now, by the
way? Sean and I, just under a month. It's been a few weeks we've been together. We're just now launching a lot of Home Depot and Lowe's retail with the company we're with, Vital. Like you said, there's been a huge shift in the industry. So we had to kind of pivot to keep our volume and production up. What we did with the virtual side was a lot of loan-only states, and a lot of states are now being pulled out of by not only Freedom, by a lot of other companies, because there's not going to be enough volume without the tax credit and the loans. So yeah, we're looking forward to the retail. We've done some soft launches so far, and the statistics so far so good. So look forward to improving it and growing it.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I want to talk a lot about that. But before we get into that, what is solar? How did you get into solar? Like, what were you doing before you linked up with Sean? Yeah, what did it look like getting into solar for you?
It's funny. I was actually like an anti-solar guy because I started at Vivint, like 90% of door knockers. So when I was out there door knocking, my first thing I'd say is, "Hey, I'm not the solar guy. I promise. I'm with Vivint," because it was just so heavily saturated in Florida. And yeah, I was super against it. I didn't think it was anything special. And then after I'd done my first season at Vivint, I was part of the team of that whole Vivint and Solar Pros transition. That was my management, my friends. So I went over, I checked it out, and I realized there was a lot of money involved, a lot of potential. But I wanted to grow quicker than I probably should have. So I went and found a small local company and became my own manager. Built a small door-to-door team. At our peak, we had 11 people out there knocking doors, closing. So it went well. I realized that the solar money was a lot better than the alarm money or the pest money.
Yeah.
Um, so slowly transitioned, and it's funny. That's actually how I got into the virtual side. Was I met a guy who tried to recruit me and a few of my door knockers over to his company, and we ended up both kind of brainstorming the idea together. From driving from house to house to house, we could only sit in so many appointments a day,
Yeah.
and we realized like, hey, I'm just going to call this next appointment and do it over the phone because I don't want to drive 2 hours to it after I just drove 2 hours this way back and forth.
Yeah.
And it started to work. We got momentum, and we started to close over the phone, and we realized we could do it. So then I spent all of my time diving into lead generation and how to get the lowest cost per lead, lowest acquisition, and still keep a good closing rate. And then yeah, it started about a year and a half ago now.
Okay. Wow. So for about a year and a half now, you've been doing only virtual then? Is that right?
Yeah, mostly. Yeah, pretty much only virtual. I haven't been in a house closing in a while. All
Yeah.
over the phone now.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah, and I know it's a dream for a lot of people, and I know some people have like dabbled in the virtual stuff, but it hasn't worked out. Yeah, myself included. I've done some virtual too, and obviously during COVID, anyone that was selling during COVID, I think everyone had to do virtual at that time. But then once COVID was over, I'm just like, yeah, I'm going back to in person. I know there's
All right.
pros and cons, like you said, virtual. You can get in front of more people. You don't have to drive all over the place. But yeah, what are some like? Why do you think some people fail at virtual? And I know people are like, oh, it's so hard to close doing it virtual. What have you found, and what are like maybe some mistakes people make, some differences in closing virtual versus in person?
Right. It is a whole different game, right? So when you get into the lead generation side of it, it's completely different whether you're doing virtual or not. So you have two aspects of the business at that point. You have a lead generation side, which is heavily, heavily dependent on cash flow. And then you have the phone sales, which is another learning curve. Now, closing over the phone is never going to be what it is in person. You're not shaking the hand. You're not meeting them face to face. You're not spending an hour and 2 hours in the home. So naturally, your retention rate is going to be high, and you're going to have a lower percentage of closing. So we played the volume game more heavily. We weren't underselling ourselves badly, but we were mainly selling on price more than value. When I'm in a home, I tend to sell more on value, especially I'm in one of the meccas for solar. I'm right here in Duke Energy and Tico and FP&L. So it's really easy to sell here on value, and you can actually sell fairly high with still good savings. But when we're selling in these other states like Montana, Idaho, Arkansas, Georgia, not quite as much sun hours, and the utilities are sometimes a little bit less expensive. So you really kind of have to drop the price, sell on the savings more than the value, especially over the phone.
Yeah, yeah. That's cool. And so what yeah, how do you guys determine what states you sell in? Do you just kind of like test leads wherever and then you see, oh, this we're getting a lot of leads in this market and then you like
Exactly.
put more money into it? Is that the
Yeah,
thought process?
I don't. Unfortunately, I didn't have a crystal ball because if I did, I'd have
Yeah.
I'd
Yeah.
have a lot more money in the bank. But yeah, it's just trial and error. The way I looked at it is the first things I went for is what's going to have my lowest cost per lead. Where do I have the lowest baselines or red lines where I'm going to be able to make the most money? Where
Yeah.
has the best utility rates with decent net metering? And obviously, every state has little niche areas that are better than others. So then you need to zone into the certain areas. So a lot of it is market research. You got to do a lot of research in the markets ahead of time. And again, the numbers are the biggest part. What most people don't understand with like a lead generation side of the business is if you're spending 30, 40, $50 a lead, you think, okay, I'm making $5,000, $10,000 a sale here. I can spend more. I can spend more.
Yeah.
But what you don't realize is when you actually break down the numbers, an extra $10 per lead can take out more than 50% of your profit. Like it can take such a big chunk out of it to where lead cost is important, acquisition cost is important, and then you break down the quality of lead versus the price of the lead. If you're spending $10 a lead, but you're closing one for every 200 of them, it's not great.
Right.
I'd
Yeah, yeah.
rather spend a little bit more for the leads, and get a better quality lead to keep the acquisition down.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, what do you find? Because something I saw in closing like virtual online leads, I don't know if it was just I never like kept track of all the numbers, but it seemed like there were more people that were wanting to like shop around, and it's like they click on one button, all these companies are contacting them over the internet. So, do you see that a lot? Like the people are more like, okay, thanks for the info. Now I'm gonna go shop with the
A
other
hundred,
company or whatever. And
a
like,
hundred
yeah,
and ten percent.
how do you guys deal with that?
Well, I mean, the easiest answer and the easiest way of dealing with it is running exclusive ads. So that way you're not, getting people who have been sent to five different companies.
Yeah,
Um, Obviously, you're going to lower your lead cost significantly by doing a cost per lead basis. I mean, the big companies like CEE, Clean Energy Experts, they went out of business too
yeah,
recently. You can buy the shared leads, and then you're just bidding against other people. You can buy
mhm,
exclusive leads and then hope that they didn't fill out two ads or three ads, or they didn't speak to somebody earlier. The
yeah,
majority of the time, because these people are interested, they have some sort of interest, they have spoke to somebody before, they've sat down with somebody before, they have another quote. So a lot of the time, these people know what they're talking about.
mm,
And again, the easiest way to deal with it, especially being over the phone, in my opinion, is just transparency. As long as you build the right value, you show pricing, and you show the ethics of what you're doing, and it makes sense. There's no reason for them not to do it. But you do have to
yeah,
play that volume game.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, and that's the difference. Obviously, with door knocking, it's like you're taking a lot of people that maybe they weren't really interested. They didn't really have any previous knowledge of solar in a lot of cases.
Right.
But yeah, you're bringing that level, and so it's where there's a lot less shopping around and all that, just because you were the one to educate them and get them interested and get them to that point. And it's
Definitely.
frustrating when, because it happens in door knocking too, where you're the one that educates them and they're like, oh, great. You know what? Now you showed me that I'm actually am interested in solar. Thank you. Now I'm going to go get 10 quotes or whatever. And it's like, then,
Right.
then you go back a month later, they got some solar with some other company. It's like, you got to be kidding
Yeah.
me. It's like a biggest gut punch as a door knocker.
Yeah, that's always the
Um,
worst.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, so like in your experience, when you were knocking doors, a lot of people ask like, "What about as far as what you make?" Because it sounds like you probably have more volume. You're maybe closing more virtually. You can get in front of more people. But
Yep.
does that translate to actually? You think like an average person that's knocking doors for their leads versus an average person that's doing something like this, online leads? What do you think? Are they making more doing it that way, or is the average door knocker making more?
It's a great question, and my answer is going to be whoever works harder will make more money, right?
Okay.
The commissions are going to be similar. If you're going out and self-generating, obviously you'll make the most money knocking on a door, closing a deal. You have zero costs. It's 100% commission. You're not splitting it with anybody. Now, if you do the traditional set a closer model, and it's very very similar to our retail model. So our average commission for a sales rep was right around $3,000. On the low end, we're looking at 2,000. So they were making really decent money, and right on par with what you would make with a set of closer model. The difference for them is like everything's paid for. They're not shelling out any sort of money. We took care of that on the back end, and they get the volume game. Like I said, they get warm leads. Everyone that calls interested. They're sitting in an air conditioned office behind a computer. They're not walking 20,000 steps a day, getting
Yeah.
yelled at. So it's just a different game. The people who are willing to work hard and hustle, door to door will always be the way. You have zero costs. You can go out there essentially 24/7 and go and make money.
Yeah.
But if you have the funds to invest, and you have the team behind you to help you build it as well, the virtual side is very very scalable. You can get in front of a lot more people. You can get a
Yeah.
lot more deals closed.
Yeah. Yeah. And then what's your opinion? Because I've seen some people that try to do like a combination, like some door to door and then um, like some virtual, some online leads and everything. And I think some people can succeed with that, but I've also seen it where some people try to do both and they just like are putting part time into both and not really getting that much success in either one of them. So
Right.
do you have anyone doing like a combination, or would you recommend that, or what are your thoughts on that?
As of now, we don't. I think it really just depends on your structure of your work life. If you're on like the blitzing model, where you're doing a week or two on and then a few weeks off, then when you go on your blitz, as long as your head's down and you're going 110% door knocking, then what you do in the free time is completely fine. If you want to buy leads or go do virtual or go self generate, it doesn't affect your bulk of work, right? If you were, let's just say, a full time door knocker and you were in a local market, if you're doing both, it's going to be difficult for you to focus on one. I think I would recommend you put 100% of your effort into one niche
Okay.
and stick to it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's good too. Yeah. And because yeah, I was running some ads a while back and getting okay results, but then I think what happened with me, I just got like kind of exhausted with having to constantly adjust the ads and tweak it.
Yep.
And it's not just like this magic thing that you can turn on, it's going to work forever. It's like you constantly got to be adjusting things, changing
Right.
the copy, changing images, stuff like that. So well, first of all, how did you like learn all this? Did you just kind of like trial and error, or did you take like some course that taught you how to
No, I
generate
just jumped in.
leads? You just jumped in?
Jumped in the fire. Yeah, I just jumped in
Oh,
and started doing it, and I learned as I went. I'd been through multiple different lead companies, lead management companies. I'd taken little bits and pieces I learned from all of them, and yeah, it was really trial and error for me. I had no backing of social media advertising. I had no background of marketing in general,
mm,
so it was all new to me. But what helped me do it was I had a really good team in place where I had great closers that were producing good volume. I had a great operations manager that would take that weight off my shoulders, so I could just go 110% into the lead generation, lead management.
yeah. And you weren't like nervous at all that this is like I'm kind of experimenting with this. You weren't worried that you're going to be dumping money into something that might not work.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, that thought's always going to be in your head, right? It's inevitable. You're dumping tens of thousands of dollars in, and
Yeah.
there's no guarantee of any sort of return, right? So
Yeah.
that's just any business in general, though. Without taking that risk, without attempting to it, you'll never know what happened. I was okay with potentially losing money, and at least trying it than sitting there and never trying it, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's cool, man. Well, sounds like it's working well for you guys, and I'm sure right now it's probably a lot of your. Do you feel like leads have picked up with we got tax credits expiring, things like that? Is that something you guys are really like drilling down on right now, and you feel like that's a good urgency builder for getting leads right now?
Yeah, so we're at the point now where we're not really pushing that anymore because of timing. We're almost at the point where, especially where we are here, getting a job to PTO by the 31st
Yeah.
isn't
So
super guaranteed. It's not strong anymore.
yeah.
So we're now making that pivot, where we're just kind of sticking to the PPAs and leases, since
Yeah.
that's really all we're going to be able to sell
Yeah.
primarily, and then we're also pivoting the states because our bread and butter was where people weren't, if that makes sense. Like, you didn't have big door knocking teams going up to Oregon or going up to Montana and Idaho and all of these other states. No
Yeah.
one's in them pushing it, right? So
Yeah.
so lead cost is super low, competition is super low,
Yeah.
and you can still make a decent commission. It's never going to be what it'll be in Florida or California, but it's the numbers just made way more sense. So now we're transitioning. We're completely switching our model for the markets that we're targeting. We're switching all of the advertising that we're doing to be more PPA based, other than getting a 30% credit, 30% off the system, etc. And then we're going to supplement the missed volume by not being in all of these other states with the retail. So
Yeah.
looking
That's
forward to
awesome.
that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and then what type of systems you guys have? Because I'm sure just like in door knocking, there's people that don't show up for their appointments, their calls. Most like virtual guys I talk to, a lot of them use like, a high level account or CRM
Yeah.
to have like automatic follow ups and all that. So I don't know what systems you guys have. Maybe you can recommend some like basic systems for someone that's trying to set all this stuff up.
For sure. Yeah. Go high levels going to be the immediate one. It's super easy. There's a ton of AI you can integrate into it. You can go pay a company thousands of dollars to build it out. I mean, you can go on Fiverr and find somebody to build out your Go high level fairly inexpensively, implement a little bit of AI, and it'll do the job. It'll do the follow ups. It'll put them on the calendars. We integrated AI about 4 months ago, 4 or 5 months ago, and it's so much different now. Before we were kind of just like a basic CRM where leads came in, they were worked manually by a sales rep, and then that was it. They didn't get touched by anything else. And once we implemented the AI, it took a lot of the, I don't want to say door knocking, but like the outreach to people who never answered the phone or needed a follow up. It took that weight off the shoulders and let the guys just focus more on the fresh leads and the appointments that they were sitting.
Wow. That's incredible. It's changed a lot because I mean, back when I was running all this stuff, there's nothing like it is now. No AI, no chat
Yeah.
GPT, none of that. So yeah, like the AI, do you guys just have it like reach out to people, cold leads, people didn't respond, and you just have AI automatically following up and things like that, or
Yeah,
what other do you have it do? What else do you have it doing?
we're not doing too much of the cold leads right now. It's mainly just our pipeline because we have thousands and thousands of leads in our pipeline.
Okay.
And we have the voice AI, we have the text and the email. The one piece of advice I'll give is AI is extremely important. Everybody needs to be utilizing it. But there's a lot of compliance and legalities you need to be careful with. So
Mm,
if you are going to implement AI, make sure you do it properly
yeah.
because if you do get caught doing something incorrectly, or especially with the new outreach laws for messaging people who haven't opted in, you got to be really careful with that stuff.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah, and so the voice AI like calling, is it to the point where you can have it call people and things like that, or
Oh
is it not?
yeah,
Yeah.
it'll call them, it'll speak to them, it'll set an appointment all over the phone. So it can
Wow.
even like live transfer it to us. Like if they're on the phone, it'll ring. So whoever the lead is assigned to, it'll ring that sales rep's phone number
Wow.
to let them know they're on the phone.
Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I mean, I don't know. When I get these AI calls, I can always tell I can, at least I think I can always tell it's it's AI
Yeah.
talking. So
Most
do
of
you feel like that? Yeah. Do you feel like it hurts conversion? Like people can still tell it's AI, right? Like when it calls them on the phone.
yes and no. I would say more people don't think it's AI than do. A lot of the people we speak to, are over the age of 30 or 40 years old. Anyone our age can pick it up pretty quickly because we grew up with that kind of stuff. But,
Yeah.
most people in their 40s or 50s, they're not super familiar with AI. And, especially over the phone, sometimes the line's not super clear and they can't always tell, unless they have some sort of tech background or, people
Yeah.
involved in their life that share AI with them and they hear the videos and stuff like
Wow.
that.
Wow. Yeah, that's incredible. I mean, yeah, it's coming a long ways, and that's it's got to be nice just having it set appointments so like how many appointments you think you get a day from AI talking? Is that like pretty consistent and just go set appointments for you?
It is definitely, yeah. The older leads obviously have a way lower conversion, like the ones who we've already reached out to. But when we get fresh leads in, I mean, the AI probably sets 20 to 30% of them within 48 hours into an appointment,
Wow.
and then it increases even further when we speak to them on the phone when we get a hold of them. So it's really
Wow.
helpful.
Wow. And
Yeah.
then most of those are they'll actually come to the appointment. It's not just setting an appointment, but then people don't show up. You feel like you can set just as solid of an appointment as a real person talking to them?
Yeah, so my opinion on this will differ than most people's, but I don't think appointments are a thing in virtual. Whenever they do set an appointment, it's not an appointment like when someone's coming out to your house to sit down to bring physical documentation or laptop in front of you and you're going over stuff like that. Our appointments is just a conversation, right? So I don't think of it as much as like, oh hey, let's all sit down at the dining room table and put the phone on speaker. It's more of just like catching them at the right time, which is super difficult to do over the phone, just like door knocking. You never know what someone's doing behind a closed door, but it's not an appointment like, hey, let's get together at 5 o'clock to fully set this up. It's like, hey, I'll give you a call at 5 and we'll go over what the solar looks like. And then while they're on
Okay.
the phone, that's when you have to utilize like, do you have access to your email right now? Are you with your spouse or the decision maker in the home? You got to figure those things out. And if they are, we pick that apart in the middle of the pitch or the phone presentation. And as long as it's a right setup, then we're going to go all the way to the end. We're pushing for documents, we're pushing for credit approvals. If we don't get that, then we do set follow-ups. That's one of our little tricks is I'm asking throughout the pitch, how many people in the house use power, who own the home, would make a decision like this. I'm asking little questions to figure it out. And then if they say something like, "Oh yeah, my spouse or my husband or wife comes home later on," like perfect. These systems take us a little bit to design. There's a lot involved. What I'll do is I'll grab this information from you, everything I need for a proposal, and then set a follow up time to try and speak them together.
Okay. So it sounds like you're just trying to make it not like an official appointments where they're sitting down and having to devote a bunch of time. We're just like, hey,
Yeah,
we're gonna give you a quick call at this time, and
yeah, absolutely.
basically heads up. Okay, cool.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, what?
that's the issue with solar, right? It's like if you get into the alarm system industry or the pest control industry, it's immediate, right? Like you get it closed, it's getting installed or done essentially immediately. With solar, it's a multiple week process. I mean, on the fast end, some of us get lucky with 10-day to 2 week installs in certain areas, but it's every bit of 4 weeks right before those panels on the roof. So it doesn't matter what appointment you set or how far you push them on that one appointment. There's so much time in between. There's so much follow up in between. A good sales rep for solar, in my opinion, is checking up weekly with their sale and updating them and communicating with them and just keeping them in the loop because 2 weeks
Right.
of no communication can sometimes scare somebody, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. And I think for people knocking on doors, it's like you almost have to treat it the same way. I think, especially how it is now, and we're in California, pretty mature market. People have heard about solar. And so most of the time, if you're just saying, hey, we're coming back for an appointment, and, people get in their heads, it is going to be some long, drawn out process, then they just ghost the appointment. So
Yeah,
I think, yeah, it's funny you say that because I think it's pretty similar even in door knocking now. You almost just have to set it, hey, we're popping by at this time with everybody. We'll be here around 5. And
right.
it's a quick thing. We're just going to go over a design. And if you can get them to think like that, then we've seen like our appointment rate go way up just because, yeah, it's just like something that's no big deal in their head. The more they think it's going to be like a doctor's appointment and
Right.
there's some long drawn out thing, the more likely they are to ghost it. Guys like Taylor McCarthy talks about that, like not even saying the word appointment. But I
Hmm.
think that's just how it is in these days. We've been so conditioned to think of appointments as long, drawn out things that are going
Yeah,
to take
exactly.
half the day that you got to make them think it's just like a quick thing. So it sounds like it's pretty similar in doing the phones, the virtual
It's
stuff too, right?
Yeah, especially when they've already heard from somebody before. I mean, the amount of people, especially in our markets in like Florida and California, almost everybody sat down with somebody. So they know from the last time they did it a year or two ago that it's an hour process. And they're like, oh, I don't want to sit here for an hour and hear
Yeah.
it out again. Or
Yeah.
2 hours. The guy last time he wouldn't leave. It'll be different, I promise.
Yeah. I know. Some guys are just like, we got some guys in our team that are just like, you know what? Every time I get in a home, I'm just going to stay in there as long as possible. So they never want to do this again. So they'll just sign up with me because I
Right.
know they're not going to want to go through like a 3-hour home visit again. So they might as well just
Exactly.
sign up with me so they don't have to go through this. Like,
Yeah.
okay, well, you better close them then because if you don't close them, then they're probably never going to do that again.
Right. That's the tactic. Oh, we want to
Uh,
sit for 2 hours with 6 different companies? Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A good, decent tactic, I guess.
Yeah.
That's funny, man. Well, so yeah, let's talk about some of the retail stuff you guys are doing, Jordan. Um, so I know that's pretty new for you, but what's it been like? I don't know. So are you doing the same process for getting like retail leads now, or like you guys are sending people in the Lowe's and Home Depots, or what's that been like doing the retail?
Yeah, so our initial launch was actually a third party lead provider, so I didn't have to worry about any appointment setting. I just worried about closes in home. And, initially, so far, so good. We didn't get a ton of volume yet to give you like real statistics, but, roughly we've had 3 closes and 32 appointments. So far, so good. Not a big enough pool to really get a strong number, though. What we're in the process of doing now is opening an internal retail team, which will be somebody who's like, internal to Vital and us with management, they're going to be setting the appointments, and Lowe's and Home Depots. We're also going to keep this third-party lead provider that we currently have, let them build up and start rolling. So we'll have a couple of different lead sources from all in the retail. It's a pretty cool opportunity because these people are inside of a trusted store like Home Depot and Lowe's. They're there all the time. To have some sort of partnership with them builds a level of trust already, which is super helpful going into the home. And again, it's to me, it's more similar like the virtual side, because these people are more reaching out to us as opposed to us reaching out to them. They show a level of interest. So when we actually go out to the home, it's something I've heard of before. They've thought about it before. They reached out about it, as opposed to on the door knocking side, these people may have never heard of solar before, and just now figured out the interest in it. So it's
Yeah,
a
yeah,
little bit different for us.
yeah. Okay. Something I've heard, I don't know what your experience has been, but when you get a lead from retail like that, can you guys like kind of do whatever you want with it, or are they pretty strict with like their brand? They're like, okay, you can only reach out to them once, or like, can you put them in your system and do whatever you want with the lead, or what does that look like?
Yeah, to an extent. I mean, we obviously have to follow compliance laws, just like anything else. But yeah, I mean, we are encouraged to follow up with them. Obviously, if they say no, we're not going to um, hound them down constantly, constantly, constantly. But we do stay in touch with them. There are automated messages that go out. So if they reschedule an appointment, especially if we sat the appointment and it didn't close initially, we're heavily encouraged to follow up and try and get the close. At the end of the day, I like me as a closer, I either want to hear a no, which is fine, or I want to hear a yes. I don't like the limbo period.
Yeah,
So if I sit with you and we don't close the first time, I'm gonna check in again within a few days, a set a follow up appointment, and we're gonna keep going over it, because there's only so much time you need to make a decision like that. And again, I either want to get to the no where, hey, you're off the list, we're not going to waste any more time, or the yes, let's get it rolling.
yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, that's interesting. Yeah, I will be curious to hear, future results. I've heard a lot of people doing that in the past, good and bad. But like you said, I mean, if you can have a already like a trusted brand behind you, and the people think it's because I hear a lot of times, oh, people that
Yeah.
went solar from Sunrun or whatever that used to be in the Costco. A lot of people
Right.
say, "Oh, I went solar with Costco." Like they don't even know that Sunrun was actually the company that did it, just because they're like
Right.
thinking so much about the store where
Yeah.
they heard it from. So do you guys get that all? Do people think you're like with Home Depot, with Lowe's? Do you have to like wear your own shirts, or how do you like kind
Yes,
of use their brand to your advantage?
we do for sure. Yeah, and we have Lowe's and Home Depot vests or aprons. So we do have access to say we're partnered with them. Of course, we are. In our case, it is very well known, like during the process, that we are Vital and Freedom. We are partnered with Lowe's and Home Depot, and if it was the third party lead company, then they can even say that that was the lead company who set the appointment. But even just going through the documents and everything, it's pretty clearly stated what company is actually doing the installation, and we're always trained to address that. Like, hey, we're the ones doing the installation. This company's doing it. We're partnered with Home Depot or partnered with Lowe's, because we don't want to have that confusion.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. Yeah, well, so as we start kind of wrapping up here, Jordan, you've been in the industry a long time, had a lot of success in not only door knocking but now doing the virtual side of things. So me coming from just mostly door knocking, running setter closer and all that, what's some advice maybe you could give on just like building urgency? You talked about how now we can't use quite as much the tax credit expiring. Um,
Right.
yeah, I still bring it up, but
Of course.
it's not like, yeah, you're not getting spizzed. Oh, it's only applying to the purchase system. I just bring it up as a reason that, hey, a lot incentives are expiring, but they don't necessarily have to know right then that it's only applying to the
Well,
purchase systems. but
of course.
but yeah, what's like some urgency builders you use in the deal, and what do you think you're going to use moving forward? As we go into the new year, we can't necessarily use the tax credit ending as urgency after that. Do you have any ideas on any tips on that for closers?
Yeah, and to be blunt, I never really used the tax credit thing until the last 3 months, until the big beautiful bill came out. It was never like that big of an urgency for me to push. I've always sold on the value of rate increases. That's always been my bread and butter. Especially here in Duke, when I was doing homes, Duke and FP&L and Tico, they raise rates consistently. It's historically proven. When you show them, break down the electric bill and show them that they're already paying for the solar fields that are going up and all that, building the rate increase urgency is my favorite thing to do, because if you can show them that they're stuck in this situation, the bill is consistently going to go up, just like it has statistically over the last 50, 60 years plus. That urgency is important to me. And then when you see these new bills that are getting signed for FP&L is attempting to raise bills by 100% within the next 5 years, right? So when you see things like that coming out, that's the urgency I see, where like, hey, the sooner we get you into this program, the sooner you're going to get away from these rate increases. These bills are going to keep going up and up and up. In this
Yeah.
case, obviously the leases can escalate as well, depending on if you sell, 0 to 3-4%. But the breakdown still statistically makes sense. If you show the rate increases over the last 100 years versus the 2.9% escalator or the 1.9, whatever you do sell, it's always going to beat the system, especially when you're coming day one, 20-30% lower than what the current bill is.
Yeah, 100%. And then you talked about how important just the communication is. And these days, you almost got to be, you need to be having that communication weekly because, as you said, solar is a long process. So what type of system, I don't know if you set up the systems or like how do you guys manage the project to make sure these things are getting to install? What's your systems? What's your advice on having good communication and just actually like retaining the projects so they make it to install?
Yeah, so if you have some sort of automation CRM like I have set up, it does quite a bit of it for you. When we put them in the post sale bucket, then it's automated to give them the weekly happy messages. On top of that, to make it more personal, what I do is every Monday when I come in the office, I go through my active pipeline of personal sales, and I go through and I text them what the status of their project is, what's going on, if there's been an update. If there hasn't been an update, it's simple. It's, hey, Taylor, hope all is going well. No updates here. On this end, we're still in permitting stage, and that's it. We're just keeping the communication going, keeping them happy, asking them if they have any questions. Best time to handle an objections before it comes up, right? But
Yeah.
in that time, if they've heard something else from a friend, a family member, somebody who didn't like solar, someone who had a bad experience, and you don't speak to these people for 3 weeks, then that can get into their heads and they can start to think negatively. But if you consistently speak with them, crush the objections they have, or crush any sort of skepticism that they have, then you're more than likely going to get a higher installation rate.
Yeah. Do you ever get nervous about like automating that too much, having CRM or AI send out automatic updates? Just because I've had some experiences where I use like virtual assistants, and at one point I was trying to automate it a little bit too much, where we weren't on the same page. So I had talked to the
Right.
customer on the phone. They had some concerns, and then we weren't in great communication. So then my VA gave like a different update than I had just told them. And then it actually
Mhm.
caused the customer to cancel because they're like, oh, Taylor just told me this. Now you're saying this. You know what? I'm confused. Just forget about it. Cancel the project. And I'm like, oh, shoot. So from then on, I'm like, you know what? I better, like, I don't want like me trying to automate the process too much to cause like customer confusion, lead to cancels. So yeah, what do you think about that? Do you try to make it more personal, or how much do you like automate versus you sending in personal updates?
All right. My personal automation is very basic. That the automation I have going out is not project updates. It's more of communication updates.
Okay.
Hey, hope everything's going well. I'm the one who personally does the updates. That's my job. My job is to communicate with the customer. I'm the one who's built the relationship with them. I'm the one that's spent hours on the phone with them or in person with them, whatever it may be. You are the one who needs to be texting them actual updates, right? I know project management sometimes does that depending on your company, or you have the personal management that reaches out, and the permitting teams reach out, engineering teams reach out, but you have that connection with them. As long as you stay in contact with them on the status of if there is anything that's changing or when it changes, I think it's more personal. I think you'll have a stickier retention rate. If you are going to use automation, I would probably recommend keep it basic.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Yeah, that's good advice. Okay, well, and then last question I had for you, Jordan. What about I don't know how big you guys are on referrals. Do you get a lot of referrals from doing virtual? I don't know if you have like systems set up for that, but maybe some advice you have with referrals.
Absolutely. So I mean, referrals are the biggest part of your revenue stream because in the virtual side and in the retail side, there are lead fees involved. Of course, it costs tons of money to generate these leads. So whenever you pull a self gen out of being in a home or being on the phone, that's self gen pay. There's no fees involved. There's no lead fees involved. It is strictly commission to you. So I have my team trained to ask for referrals every single time. Ask for 3 to 5 names. Let them know we do the referral fees, $500 referral fees, 750, whatever you want to do. I highly, highly encourage it. I teach the cloverleaf method for the people who don't door knock is whenever you do sell a homeowner, first off, you should ask them to tell their neighbors. But second, you should be knocking on every single door within, quarter-mile radius of them and pushing for those referrals because it doesn't take much time. It doesn't take much effort. It's simply just asking the question and it can double or triple your revenue stream.
Yeah. Wow, so good. Yeah, that's a big one, especially for people that are doing it in person. If you're not knocking around your installs, a lot of times I'll get a deal in a neighborhood. Maybe I've already knocked those homes, but when you got the trucks they're actually installing, such a good time to go back and re-knock, even if they already said no before. It's like, hey, we came by before. I know I caught you at a bad time last time, but I don't know if you saw the trucks actually here doing your neighbors, and they still had that info for the home. So we just while they're here, we just thought we'd come by, make sure you guys already got the info, make sure that you guys at least know what you're saying no to, and then try to transition an appointment. So powerful.
Exactly. That's
So
actually that's a lesson I learned when I was at Vivint, and it was actually my very, very first sale ever as a door knocker. um, I I spoke to this one lady, and she gave me the runaround. She was like partially interested, partially wasn't. She just wouldn't close, and I was very inexperienced at the time. And 3 days later, on the blitz, I sold the neighbor, and they were friends. And as I
wow,
sold the neighbor, as the truck came and started doing the installation, the original homeowner, the lady came outside and asked me to come back in the house, and I sold her right after. I
wow,
mean, within 15 minutes of the truck being there, she was signing up. So, yeah,
wow.
jealousy is a big thing. Some people don't want to be the first one. Some people are skeptical. If their neighbor does it and they have a little trust in their neighbor, they might feel more comfortable. So, you don't want to leave any meat on the bone. It never hurts to ask. It never hurts to go out there and spend a little extra time.
Yeah, so good, so good. Yep. Well, cool. So if people want to reach out to you, maybe learn more about the virtual stuff or pick your brain on that, what's the best way to get in touch with you, Jordan?
Probably phone. Yeah, if you shoot me a text message or a voicemail, you can just call me and I can answer. It's going to be the easiest way. Um, on the virtual side, we're a little bit thinner on the hiring because there's so many costs involved. We don't want to overgrow. It's not like a door knocking team where you give 1,000 people a T-shirt and send them out,
Yeah.
no cost involved.
Yeah.
But on the retail side, there's a lot of opportunity, and we're definitely looking for people to scale on that side. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you want me to read my number out or leave it in like a chat somewhere.
Yeah. You can shoot it to us. We'll just put it in the show notes. And
Okay.
yeah, just don't blow them up too much. Yeah. Yeah. Hopefully we won't get you. Yeah. You just by saying that,
Uh,
you just opted in. You're under compliance, right? So
100%.
people can
You
spam,
can, I'm on Eastern time zone. Just keep that in mind.
Yeah. Okay, well, cool, man. Well, Jordan, it's been awesome having you on. And to wrap up here, do you have any advice for maybe a struggling rep? Like you said, it's a lot of ups and downs. Solar, it's a crazy time right now. So I know a lot of people have left the industry, gone to other types of sales. And so, what would you say to maybe a rep that's like struggling? I don't know if I should continue in solar. What do you say to that rep?
The grass is not always greener on the other side. I think any opportunity that you work hard in is going to be a good one. So if you're struggling in one industry, you're more than likely going to struggle in another. It's not necessarily the product; it's the person. So put your head down, work hard, and aim for success.
Love it. Love it. So good. So yeah, keep with it, keep going. You will see fruits if you put your head down and go to work. So Jordan, thank you so much for coming on. We'll be excited to hear about how things are going in the retail, hear about more in the future, some of the results you guys are getting with that. But yeah, man, keep crushing it, and we'll look forward to talking again in the future.
Yeah, look forward to it. It's been a pleasure, Taylor. Thank you.
Okay, thanks, man.